Welcome to the perpetual show. Where the loaves go, we've got flow. Oh yeah. Driving through the fields of green, oh so bright. With a loaf by your side, everything feels right. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The loaf's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love. Loafing through the fields, feeling so alive. In our boxy Russian van, we're taking our stride. Past the fallen soldiers, a bittersweet sight. But we're cruising on this road tonight. Bouncing to the rhythm, calypso in our soul. The love's engine purring as our story unfolds. We're singing and we're dancing, the sun shining above. The loaf takes us places where we find love.
Hello, everybody. We're here. We're live. We're unprepared too, so let's go. How you doing, Kick?
Oh well, hi everyone. I guess, yeah. I just said it. I'm really unprepared because I kind of jumped into here from a store, and yeah, I don't even know what I did today.
Yeah. I have done so many videos this week that I feel dizzy. Like I genuinely, when I stand up, I feel dizzy just from watching just too many videos.
So what do you think? Do you feel like one of the FPV drone operators now?
Maybe they feel dizzy just all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I always wondered if you have those glasses on and you jump from drone to drone, it's gotta affect you, I think.
Yeah, do you get used to it? Like, maybe if you fly enough, it becomes weird to not fly.
I mean, did you ever play GTA and then afterwards jumped into your own car to drive through the city?
No, I've not done that. Hi, Constantine.
Hello. How are you?
Okay. I'm kind of glad you're here, Constantine.
Are we live?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Do you have any fundraisers going on? I don't even remember. I think you're good, right? You finished one like yesterday.
Yeah, we finished a small fundraiser for the, to have our workshop running in Kharkiv.
What was that for?
Huh?
What was it for?
So it was we have a workshop in Kharkiv that repairs equipment for armed forces, and we require some tools and shop furniture like metal shelving and those drawers for the tools, etc., to make sure that our new workshop launches on time. So I had a goal of $6,000. No one was like literally donating to it.
Yeah.
And like I thought I'll decrease it to 3,000 so we can reach the goal, and then suddenly someone gave me $4,000, and we were instantly and then the fundraiser. So
That's nice.
and yeah, I have another one that is that I started like 2 weeks ago. Our initial goal was $110,000, and now we got 120. And I thought, let's try to buy one more excavator, if people are willing to help, because the need in the excavators is pretty big. We can we need much more than we can supply. So I increased the goal to 130. But I'm not sure we're gonna reach it. It's fine if we don't. It's not the end of the world. Because our initial goal is gonna be met anyway.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
I was surprised at how quickly that the excavator thing was funded, because it went from like it was like 60,000 one day, and then like 120,000 the next day. I was like, what happened?
So yeah, it was amazing, and it was really quick. I was surprised myself. I think it was the fastest fundraiser I had before. I had it all the time. It took us 7 days to fundraise $120,000. So for such a small person like me, it's huge to do this, and I'm super excited, super super happy about it. And now we have the new workshop that is ready, to repair those excavators, and transfer them in the really good working condition. And right now, because the line is moving really fast in multiple places, it's very important to have those. But I think the speed where it was closed so fast is because I started the fundraiser on the day of the start of the Kursk incursion, so
Yeah.
everyone was excited, and we already had 2 excavators working inside Kursk, so I was happy for that.
Yeah, I'm sure that helped a lot. Like, it's like saying that there are excavators in Kursk, probably drove a lot.
Well, I don't know, maybe, but what's funny, did you see the video from one of the Russian shows where they actually said like, oh, they come to Kursk with their, and they bring excavators to dig in.
Yeah,
They said it the Russian show that I think the crazy woman, the Skabeyeva.
yeah, yeah. I didn't see that, but that's funny. It's funny. That's what the Russians do, right? It's like the second they got to Vovchansk, they immediately brought excavators and started digging. So
They're digging in Kursk right now as well. Lots of new trenches. Like
yeah,
they're really good and fast at it. Unfortunately, like our efforts, while nice, obviously it only helps in general. It's not like we're building entire Kursk defense line, right? It's the 2 excavators. They just built like hideouts for the artillery, some bunkers for the infantry. What Russians do, they take the spot for the position, and they send like one huge excavator, 2 trucks, the crane, like 20-ton crane, and they start doing like all the materials. And this is the evolution that I want to do as well. Is that we're gonna supply now my next fundraiser next month. I hope that we're gonna buy 2 trucks with articulated arm, articulated boom. It's basically a truck, that has like flatbed behind it, and it has like a boom that picks up a small crane, like 5-ton crane, 1,200 pound crane, 12,000 pound crane that picks up stuff, puts it back on its truck, on the bed, brings it to the positions to reinforce them, and it can do really fast, and that's what's needed on the front line, so that these materials that are needed for the fortifications are not being unloaded by the men themselves with their bare hands, because it takes lots of time. And when you are so close to the front line, you don't have the time. You gotta come in, you drop it off, and run away. And this thing can carry this excavator as well. So my idea is that we have the truck. It costs around 25,000 euros, like in really good condition. So we would supply a truck, this truck, and an excavator, and it would cost around $50,000 in total. And it would come, so the engineering units can just come in on this truck with the excavator on its back and the materials, unload everything in 2 minutes. Well, not 2 minutes, I was like 5 minutes or 7 minutes, and just drive off and let it work. That's my plan,
This is the sort
like,
of truck you're talking about, right?
Huh?
Is this the sort of truck you're talking about?
Let me open the stream because I
Okay,
was
I'll just message it to you.
Oh, in the where did you message?
There.
Yeah. This one. It's a bit
Yeah.
smaller one. I would say let me show you the specific one that I was looking for right now to buy. Those are like the new ones cost $250,000. They're crazy expensive, like crazy expensive.
I just
so
mean like this sort of truck. It's just so people understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, let me show. Let me send you the picture. So I would show the video if you could show the video. What I mean, like how they actually picked it up, but I gotta crop it, so give me 1 second, please.
Okay. Yeah, that's exciting. Trucks are good. It's frustrating how quickly Russia builds defenses.
Yeah, it's frustrating that we don't invest in this as
Yeah.
much, so that's why I come in. So I just send you the truck, exactly which one I want to buy. It's gonna be on the auction. So I want to buy 2 like these, or 3 for lucky, and then 3 excavators as well to them.
It has the little working man sign on top. That's important. Yeah. So there's kind of one thing I wanted to talk about today, and it stems from this little chart that I'm about to show. This chart is a rolling average for Russian losses. So, well, anyway, I'll just show you, and then you'll see. So this, the dotted line here are the actual losses that we've counted, and the solid line is a 3-month rolling average that just kind of smooths it out a little bit. And you'll see that the Russian losses are on this pretty steep decline across the board. And a big reason why is that they're not really using vehicles in Donetsk anymore. Well, in the middle part of, well, the middle and north of Donetsk. In the southern part, they still are, like Konstantinivka and Kharivka. They're using vehicles down there, but in like the main part, like near Pokrovsk and near Toretsk and near Chasiv Yar, they're not really using vehicles anymore. And this is the main contributing factor for why these their vehicle losses are going down pretty substantially. And they're using a lot of infantry assaults, basically. And I think this is it's important that Ukraine both forces Russia to use vehicles and destroys those vehicles. I think that's kind of how Ukraine is going to get to a winning condition in this war. And I kind of wanted to talk about how Ukraine could do that. Because I have ideas. I have an idea for how Ukraine could do it. My idea is very much involves engineering equipment. Because in my opinion, what Ukraine has to do is stay at long range away from the Russians, to not fight for towns, and to not fight, especially not fight between towns. Like this sort of situation here, that Ukraine is being forced to fight between two towns. Like this is exactly where Ukraine is the worst, where every advantage that Ukraine has goes away, and every advantage that Russia has is amplified. And I think this whole situation here, near Pokrovsk, with all of these towns that are very close together, and it's pretty easy to move between one and another, is really kind of the worst case scenario for Ukraine to defend. So I wonder,
So
what do
you
you want to say?
how does the engineering comes in for you?
I think what Ukraine has to do, and they can't do it here because they probably could have done it here, but it's too late. So, but further back, probably like back here, I think what Ukraine has to do is they have to go to places like this. You see these two kind of parallel tree lines separating these towns, and I think they have to just delete these tree lines. I think this is kind of what Ukraine is going to have to do. I think what you have to do is get rid of tree lines like this to make the field bigger, and also to get rid of the railway, and probably lay a minefield where the rail used to be. And I don't mean just get rid of the rail, I mean get rid of trees. Maybe this exact location is a bad example, but I think this is what Ukraine is going to have to do. I think they're going to have to expand the battlefield. And I think the way you do it is by getting rid of trees. Because these trees are a huge advantage to Russia. They're not really an advantage to Ukraine. Ukraine needs them to defend because you have to put your forces in some of the tree lines, but you don't need all the tree lines to defend. And I think this is what I see this as the way Ukraine can win, with minimizing their casualties. What do you think, Konstantin? I recognize this would be a huge engineering project. I recognize that.
So I do agree about the tree lines. I think I thought about it for quite some time. Why don't we delete a couple of tree lines to make sure that we have line of sight, and Russians don't just use those tree lines to move towards us. So like use the tree lines in which you sit, but remove the ones that Russians can use.
Exactly.
That was, I was thinking about it. I don't know why we're not doing it, and it's honestly, it's an effort, but it's nothing undoable, because you don't need that many of them, right? There are only so many paths through which Russians can advance, and so you just,
Yep.
I think we could do it. It's not that complicated.
And you don't necessarily need combat people to do it, which I think is a benefit that Ukraine should be taking advantage of. This is what I don't understand, honestly. That like I understand that Ukraine doesn't want to send young people into combat because they want to preserve the young people, right? I understand that. But why can't they use the young people to do stuff like this?
Well, you have to hire, like, how do you do them? You don't grab them on the streets and send them there, right? You have to have you have to have the mechanism. It's not like you have young people sitting in the garage and waiting for someone to come and give them orders. So it's not as straightforward, but it's doable. What I'm saying is absolutely doable. I'm not sure that it's gonna, change way too much.
I
But
think it would. I think it would make a really big difference. It depends. Like, I probably zoomed into a bad spot, but depending on where you are, Like, I think it would make an enormous difference. Because if you see like down here, like this area here, like like this whole area right here, Russia's been completely incapable of advancing here, no matter how much they try. And I think the reason why is because other than this area where they have advanced, all of these areas, there's just huge, there's so much distance between everything. They have to constantly cross just enormous fields. And every time they try, they take just really ridiculous casualties. Like, really,
which it also depends obviously on the unit.
yes.
If you have someone like you know, like 79th brigade or something, they are much better than others that can
Looks like,
reference, or 72nd.
33rd was here for a while, if I remember right. Um, but and it's not just here. Obviously, there's also kind of this area here near Vodiana where Russia unfortunately was able to advance, and it frustrates me. But a lot of this whole southern area, even where Russia can advance, they take really ridiculous casualties, and they don't go very far. And I think Ukraine could make this sort of environment in other places. This one spot though of Donetsk is so dense with towns, and it's just an awful place for Ukraine. It's terrible. All of their advantages are gone because like the Ukrainian advantages are like drones, right? More accurate artillery on average, and they have pretty good ATGMs, although nowhere near enough. But they have pretty good ATGMs. They have drones, and they have more accurate artillery fire. Like those are your main advantages, right? And Russia has more men, more vehicles, and more ammo. Like that's kind of like the balance, right? So what you need is you need to take full advantage of your drones, and you do that by keeping the Russians at arm's distance. But it seems that some of the Ukrainian commanders like want to be in combat, and I don't know. Do you get that sense, Constantine?
What do you mean? Want to
That
be in front of?
they kind of like they want to hold positions. Like they want to say like, this is our position. We're gonna hold it. We're gonna like put forces there. We're gonna defend it. That's kind of like an impression I get where they seem to hold positions longer than they should before they pull back to somewhere else.
Yeah, well, like we have good commanders. We have commanders that don't care about anything, and those who are good, they take the responsibility and they hold those positions. Like 54th, for example, like K2, they were responsible, but at the same time, they understand when to leave the position and
Yeah.
just take it back later. I've seen a lot like they lure, the Russians in, and then they, just kill everyone who who took that position because they knew that they're not going to survive there for long.
Yeah, there's a great video yesterday of the K2 battalion. It was all right here, and it consisted of Russians trying to advance down this road and across this field. There's this funny edit. I don't think this is actually what happened, but in the video they kind of made it look like this is what happened, where they had a Russian tank. It was a Russian tank and an MTLB behind it, like moving down this road, and they edit back to like a Ukrainian tank over here, and the Ukrainian tank is on the same road. They kind of make it look like the Ukrainian tank showed up and it was like, "Go away," and the Russians were like, "Okay, bye." Like I don't think that's actually what happened, but yeah, the tank ended up taking damage. I wasn't sure what hit it, but something hit it right here, and then they kind of moved up like another like 200 meters or something, and then they decided to run away. And then the MTOB I think was eventually destroyed right here. This MTOB was eventually destroyed. but the tank got away. And several other MTLBs were destroyed too. So there's like one there, and one there, and one there. So anyway, the K2 battalion, they're fantastic, and I agree that they pull back when they need to, and I think that's good. And they also attack when they need to. Like they pushed up and took this position here, which I think they called Granite. But this was like a long series of attacks to establish this tree line here. And they never really cared about going further. Like they just stopped here, which I think is smart. They're just like, okay, we got what we wanted, we're happy. They never, I don't, at least to my knowledge, they never tried to expand out. I think they're probably more. When I see them, they're always very professional, and it makes me wish that other battalions were that good. To be honest, that's kind of my impression of them, is that they always seem to do the right thing in every situation. And it might just be that they hide all their failures, which is fair. But even so, even if you hide all your failures, their successes are so professional in the way that they use their resources, like the way that they combine drones, tanks, and artillery together to use them all at the same time on the same targets, I think is really impressive.
Yeah, they're. It's really amazing, actually, how well they work, and they do a lot of, like, the mining, distance mining, remote mining.
Yeah.
A lot of that as well. They use a lot of
They have engineers too. Their engineers are pretty good.
Yeah.
They like run around mining roads behind the Russians and stuff on foot, not just with drones.
I don't know who's doing that.
It's them. They've published videos of it. It's pretty cool. Anyways, I really see engineering as the way forward for Ukraine, but it's frustrating is they don't have the stuff. We need to get them the stuff, Constantine. You know what we need, Constantine? We need to do like a $50 million fundraiser. What do you think?
So this is what I was thinking myself, like finding some larger, like large YouTube channel or something who can help promote, and finding a couple of influencers and trying to raise like 2 million, 1 million, and you can equip with those kind of money. Like 50 million obviously is huge, and like I'd love to do that.
We can get Mr. Beast.
Yeah, but 2 million is actually doable. 2 million is very doable. And 2 million is enough to get equipment for, like, to equip, for example, this axis that you're looking at, equip the brigades there. Give them, for example, like, let's give them each of those brigades, let's give them 4 excavators, like those small excavators, and the trucks with the cranes, and let them, do their work, mobile work, basically, really quickly. And yeah, go ahead.
Have you looked at how much bulldozers cost?
So bulldozers are a bit different. Like, they're nice for much bigger projects, and like those are different. But yeah, I know how they, like, they use like the bigger ones new ones cost like $1 million. The smaller ones, used ones that would be useful here, like 15 tons, 20-ton dozers, they go for like $50,000 in okay condition, that you can jump in and start using it after small, like fix the hydraulic leaks, do the maintenance, maybe fix some undercarriage, and it can work pretty well. But once again, the dozers are pretty hard. I don't think dozers would be great to build something like 20 kilometers away, where you build like an entire you're not afraid of daily FPVs or shelling. You're more like, let's build this 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer fortification line. Then you would have dozers that would be really helpful. But for the operating brigades, it's like it's not needed as much, I would say. So it would be like bulldozers would be like an investment building something behind Mirnograd, behind those, in Dnipro or in Dnipro region. We don't want that. I don't think so. That we want that. We have to stop them before they reach Dnipro.
I'm really scared of what happens if or when Ukraine loses right here. Like, this position, like this whole area, it's really scary. It like, this scares me more than anything, is losing right here. And it's getting like really close. like I kind of want, like, can they just stop Russia now? Cause you have to stop them right now. Like, right now. Like, they can't move any forward. And that scares me. Like, oh boy. The reason it scares me is because the Ukrainian defensive line is like roughly right here. Like, this is kind of like, it's like here-ish. Like it like, this is like it like in depth, right? It goes like there's like one line here, one line there, one line there, one line there. So it's like all like right here, right? And we're talking about losing like right here. So if you lose this and you start pushing like this way, you get to like here, you're now behind the entire defensive line. And that is the most scary thing to me, is them getting behind this defensive line and just kind of like getting and attacking it from the north. Because that's a disaster. That's a real disaster.
That's why people are afraid of the Kursk, because Russians, like, they don't care about the village of 5,000 people on the border. They don't care about themselves. So that's why most of us are like concerned that leaving Donbass, getting troops out of there, especially the capable ones.
Anyway, speaking of Kursk, Gik, do you have any news from Kursk?
Well, in Kursk, it's been a both confusing and hard week as well, I would say. So in terms of progress this week, it's a bit hard to say. Ukrainian OPSEC is still tight. We do, however, now have more or less concrete evidence of battles going on along the front line. We did have a major overhaul of the front line on the map during the week. This is also based on Syrskyi simply posting the map. So in the course of this week, Syrskyi showed what parts of course Ukraine is currently controlling. It wasn't at that point entirely clear if he did that for any sort of PSYOP reason or if it was an accurate depiction of the map. But shortly following this update, the Russians actually, proceeded with posting footage from a lot of those border areas, which are now marked blue. So it appears that Syrskyi's map was quite accurate. The most confusing...
There's also some evidence that his map was old and that Ukraine has advanced. Advanced even prior to publishing that.
But a lot of things we still don't know. From just from reading Telegram and following what gets published, it does appear very stationary. But that's truly because both parties are trying to minimize the amount of videos which are published. One of the most confusing parts was we will get there later. One of the most confusing parts this week was to the east of Sucha. And to be honest, I still know further east. If you, yeah, exactly.
This one.
Yeah, it's that one. And to be honest, I'm still not entirely sure what happened and how to describe it, but because the entire video is a mess. There are now several videos released. They are mostly edited together from separate days, even to make it look like it's one continuous event. Some of the parts of the video which were towards the end happened before. So anyway, the Russian video does show that several vehicles, which we are not 100% sure of their affiliation, are basically close to each other, and there's a Ukrainian, or I mean clearly Ukrainian Cossack standing next to a presumably Russian BMP-3. But however, it appears very friendly, so they're not firing at each other.
No, it does shoot. The BMP shoots at the MRAP.
Oh no! It doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
You see the shell come
100%.
out. There's a shell comes out and flies past it misses, but it shoots at it.
No, that's the BMP-2 which is firing. So that's the next part. But I'm describing what happened first. The BMP-3 is in the street. The Cossack is right behind it. They don't give, they don't care about each other. For some reason, however, that BMP-3 is seemingly firing at an M113 at 10 meters and missing it like with every bullet. So it's not entirely sure that it was really aiming for the M113. We know for sure that the BMP-3 was shelling the houses. So that's a given from another video. You can see how the turret is rotated before. And yeah, it continues with suddenly a BMP-1 or 2, approaching both of them. I mean, in the bottom picture, you can see the Cossack on the left. You like on the where the tree is on the right, you can see the BMP-3, and then this BMP shows up in between both of them, and it does appear to have a V marking. Sorry, my cat is.
This is the BMP-3. It's facing to the right. The right is east, right? I don't know. Whatever.
The right is west.
Okay,
Right
so
is
it's
west.
facing west. So it's looking this way. This is the front of the vehicle. You can see the headlights, and the turret is also going pew 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 that way. Okay, so it's the BMP is 100% facing this way. And then there's a Cossack. So the BMP is here, and it's facing this way. And then he comes up and he's like, "Hello," and he says hello. And then there's a BMP here coming this way, and he says, "Hello, you're at a party."
Yeah, and to make it even more confusing, the BMP arriving now. There should be a zoom picture. Can you open that one?
Yeah.
The BMP arriving now. It does appear to have a V mark, but as someone pointed out, it could be that the turret gun is simply covering parts of the upper, of the closing of that V, which would make it a triangle. I have to say, it doesn't make any logical sense for Ukraine to come from that direction, as that's the direction Russians would come from. Also, this kind of triangle, while it is true that a lot of BMPs are running around with the inverted triangle on the slits in front, but most of them have a smaller triangle, in front of the slits. So this design is not, or this marking is not too typical. I would say. I tried to look up any BMP I find.
Also, this, in my opinion, it shot the Cossack. This is the shell. This is the shell coming out of the BMP directly at the vehicle.
Yeah, but there's one more detail here. When I watched it for the 72nd time, I realized that in that moment, shortly before, the BMP-3 fires its first shell at that BMP. So it could be a reflex. It could be that the BMP did not target the Cossack, but instead, fired by accident in that direction, which would kind of explain as well why he's kind of a stormtrooper as well.
It flew right, like it literally missed the gunner by less than a meter. Not the driver. It missed the driver by less than a meter. Like seriously, it drove, like it flew over the hood right in front of the windshield.
That might be an optical
I
illusion.
don't think so.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is like it. Nothing makes sense. To be honest, whatever way you put it, nothing makes sense. It doesn't make sense for Ukraine to come there. But then again, if the BMP-3 is there, it also doesn't necessarily make sense for the Cossack to be there. And the BMP-3 before might have been shooting at an M113, which was going, out of town. It also didn't necessarily make sense for the M113 to just pass an BMP-3, unless the BMP-3 was controlled by Ukraine, which is another hypothesis I find interesting. But long story short, like, even having watched this 100 times, I still learn new things about the video, and I still don't properly know how to explain it. There's a lot of legitimate arguments as to why the BMP approaching, which then gets lit up and completely destroyed by the BMP-3. There's a lot of arguments I can follow why this is a Ukrainian one, from the cope cage as an example, that does appear to be rather Ukrainian. But then again, it's a few pixels to really differentiate exactly how a cope cage looks. But also, with the gun potentially, covering parts of the triangle, I can see all that. But there's equally convincing arguments why this is a Russian BMP-1 or 2 approaching, and one of them is, or would be, the logic, of it arriving from there. Because if the BMP-1 or 2 was in that part of town before, then how did the BMP-3 get where it is? All of that doesn't really make sense. But anyway, so Russians celebrate the story for themselves. Ukrainians are, initially they celebrated it as a BMP-3 like a Russian BMP-3 destroying a Russian BMP-1-2. Then some decided that maybe it's better to be more cautious. So a lot of Ukrainian Telegram channels more or less have changed the messaging to assume that it might have been a Ukrainian BMP-1 or 2. As said, I don't know what to tell you other than this.
Yeah.
This battle is confusing as hell. It doesn't appear that Russia was fully able to rout Ukraine out of the village. To me, it rather looks like Ukraine might still be in control.
I just kept it unchanged map because I don't know what's going on, so I didn't do anything. Yeah. It's very confusing.
And to be fair, Ukraine lost a lot of vehicles there. So I think by now we have one tank and 4 MRAPs or something like that destroyed in that.
I've not seen a video from that town where the Ukrainians were alive at the end.
Well, the M113 gets away. And that one should definitely be Ukrainian.
Yeah, I guess there's that. And the I don't know, I don't think the Cossack got away. Maybe it did.
Anyways. Yeah. So this is really confusing. in the south, we had one drone attack today. If you click to today, yeah, exactly, which is in Spalnø or Spalnø. I don't know how to pronounce it. This is actually interesting because judging by Sentinel satellite imagery, this definitely happened after the satellite pass on 21st. So it likely happened, either 21st or yesterday. So this, I mean, it doesn't show much, to be honest. It shows Ukraine testing their Queen Hornet drone, which is dropping a bomb there. The messaging says that they have basically chosen a plot for themselves, and they were basically removing Russians from that plot to make sure that they can move in. So this messaging, it could also mean that, I don't know, they were out of precaution droning it there. I have no clue. I didn't see any Russian soldiers, but if they were there, that would mean that that Russians or Russian elements managed to get back into that village, which would not be too optimal.
Yeah, and Russia was recently shelling it too.
Yeah. So yeah, but it might be that the combat zone of the gray area might actually be closer to the village than it's currently depicted. However, on that axis, it does appear like there's a lot of trouble to advance if Ukraine actually plans to advance there. I mean, we did get the beating in Giri, where 92nd did lose quite a bunch of vehicles and also men. So that was suboptimal, and ever since then, it doesn't appear that Ukraine was able to really advance in this sector. But as said, we don't even know if Ukraine is aiming to. It certainly did appear like Ukraine was planning to occupy the crossroad in Belitsa, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Russians were freaking out that that they had lost these three towns here. So this one, and this one. That they're freaking out about that. I'm not sure that ever happened. I think what actually happened was that Ukraine had like a DRG running around. Probably the guys who ambushed all those trucks and whatnot. I think they're probably just running around messing with people, and that made the Russians think that some of these areas were captured, because there were intercepted Russian communications saying that Ukraine had captured those three towns. And maybe Ukraine did capture them and then lost them. I'm not really sure.
Or it's simply, not consolidated. I mean, Syrskyi's map seems to have only shown what Ukraine was able to consolidate.
Yep.
But yeah. Yeah, I think better news are actually looking west from, yeah. So this entire area of Klishkovo, if you go further west even.
West.
Yeah, exactly. And then just this entire area. So there's one river called Seim, which basically separates this part into a northern part, which is, very Russian still, and a southern part, which is currently in the process of being Ukrainianized. So this river, it's going to be a very natural border, and Ukraine has been able to, delete all of the bridges which cross the river by now, at least all of them which are feasible for Russians. And they are very active in denying Russian pontooning activity. So over the course of this week, we have seen that Ukraine basically has drone control over the river. Anything that is a pontoon gets either hit by GMLRS or by FPV drones. Today we saw that anything that comes close to bridges does appear to be targeted. So in terms of what's going to happen here, I think this is very interesting, because we know that the Russians still have forces in the Klishkovo area. we see that Ukraine is now strategically targeting a lot of the positions the Russians hold there with JDAM and other aerial launch bombs. So basically, Ukraine is currently playing the reverse card in this sector. Really using airframes to target whatever the Russians are holding and degrading Russian strongholds, as well as degrading the Russian forces in the sector. I'm really assuming that sooner or later the Russians will have to give up the entire southern part of the river. And once that happens, in my opinion, it will free up a lot of Ukrainian resources, which are currently located at the border, and also the Marines, which are pushing from the east here. Because the natural border should be able to, protect Ukraine or the captured land a lot better already than whatever Ukraine has at the border right now. So, in my opinion, occupying that part is a very logical and sensible move, and could potentially free up resources to continue whatever Ukraine is planning in Kursk.
Yep. So I was looking, I think it was 2 days ago, I was looking at some 3-meter resolution imagery of this area, and we found that that pontoon that they nuked with the Gimlers, that pontoon was completed after it was nuked. We couldn't tell if it was in use or not because there wasn't obvious usage from it. Like the other pontoon, there's really obvious usage where like so many vehicles have crossed that they've like cut grooves into the ground so you can see like what paths the vehicles are going through. Whereas that pontoon, it had no such thing, but it could have just been because it was too new, and maybe after a day or two, it would get that. So that pontoon was completed after it was attacked a lot. Like it was attacked by Gimlers, it was attacked by drones, and Russia still completed the pontoon. So there's that. And then beyond that, we could only find 2 pontoons, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, if you look at one of the destroyed symbols there, it should show one of the pontoons, if not the other one.
Why aren't there any images?
The one in between, the destroyed symbol.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the pontoons here is actually submerged. And now I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that.
I don't think so.
And neither am I sure that this car, which you see in front, should actually be trying to go there. I think it's a bad idea for that car. The SUV might be able to make it, but yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this
water
this
is
area
like maybe like what do you think, like 5 centimeters deep or something like that?
Oh, it's probably not. No, it's probably deeper. I mean, if a pontoon, is able to submerge.
No, I mean the water above the pontoon.
Oh, okay. Well, might be a bit more. Might be a bit more, to be honest. I mean, a tank can drive there, of course.
Maybe the pontoon will just sink.
Yeah, but if you look at the area around the pontoons, it's actually a lot of it is actually quite open. So, if I were Russian, I would probably try to avoid it. When you see it there, there's not that much tree line coverage. So basically, Ukraine has drones flying there. They will spot anything that comes, and they will decide on how to handle that threat. So, in my opinion, this sector currently more or less is under fire control entirely. And now it just is a question of time, in my opinion, until the Russians have decided to preserve their forces.
I imagine the Russians are leaving already.
I would assume so too, but we still have border guards droning. You see those drone symbols down there.
Yeah.
We still have videos of border guards droning the border area, not only here but also further north, which is interesting. Also, there was this event yesterday, and we can show the video actually of the event yesterday if you go further north and then towards Bryansk even.
It makes me sad that this image isn't working. I have to fix it. That one too. That's really frustrating. All right, so
Can you
where
show
am I looking? I was angry.
Bryansk? Go a bit further north, and then to yesterday. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show. But yeah, the red fighting symbol there. We can show this video, and I have no clue what to do with that video. Did you watch it in detail?
No, I just saw you did it and I moved on because I did like 150 other videos and I didn't want to watch anymore after that.
So okay, what happens here is you see you're at 0.5 speed. You should change it.
I was watching that combat before. I was like, I need slow over this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have no clue what the Russians were thinking or what their plan was, but I don't know. As a show of strength or whatever, they decided to ride to the border, like 100 or 200 meters close to the border with something like 7 tanks and a truck. They decided to line up on that road and basically fire into Ukraine. And all of that close to the border. I have no clue what their purpose was, what the goal was, why they did it.
And there's nothing to shoot at, by the way. It's like, where you shooting at? Are they shooting at this town?
I can only imagine that this was some sort of bait. Honestly, I have no clue what they were thinking, what they were doing, what the plan was. And it's really awkward. If anyone has a really good explanation of what that is, please let me know. Because this appears really stupid, and I'm still hoping that Ukraine has videos of that event.
Imagine if they had a plane dropping JDAMs on that.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a Russian drone filming this, and the Russian drone is filming it from the Ukrainian side, and the drone operator is basically saying something like, "Oh, why do they stop?" And like, "Oh, they're gonna get hit," or something like that. And then he's complaining that his own drone is losing connectivity because Ukraine turned on EW. So
yeah.
This entire event is just really weird, and I don't know if Russia just wanted to show, look, we still have tanks, and then decided to send some conscripts with tanks to the border to shoot into nothingness. If it was a bait to, I don't know, maybe get Ukraine to uncover artillery positions or something like that. Remember that Russia has been complaining about Ukraine building up forces in that area for a second axis of attack. So I really don't know what to make of this. I currently assume that they were baiting, and Ukraine decided that this is not a threat, even though it would have been a great opportunity to make Russia lose 7 tanks at once.
Yeah. So people are asking if we have a buy me a coffee. It's right here. See, the measuring tool is pointing at it. That's our buy me a coffee, but we call it a buy me a map. And our icon, instead of a coffee cup, is a map. That's where it is. You can click it. And it goes here. And you can support us for $1 a month. Or whatever you want to do. Go back.
All right. So else than that, in the Kursk region, both parties, publish too little to currently assess really where Ukraine is advancing, if they still are advancing. A few Russian Telegram channels, I think I read 2 interesting ones earlier, were complaining about how whatever the MOD basically says about stabilizing or the front having stabilized, that would be a lie. So there still is some sort of or some individual channels which talk negatively about what is happening. However, it does appear like most of the Telegram channels have been instructed on how to deal with Kursk right now, to more or less play it down. So it's really hard to assess what is going on. Where is it going on? Is Ukraine still advancing, or is it more or less bogged down? It's really hard to assess. I guess it does appear stationary, but really mostly because we simply don't have footage. And Russia also, if they publish from a place where Ukraine has advanced, it's rarely because or it's rarely some random drone video. It's typically because Russia actually did win a fight there, or
Well,
did cause significant damage. One of the
this video here is I think it showed a Ukrainian advance, but
yeah, it does. It
it made the
definitely
Russians
does.
freak out. I have not seen Russians freak out as much as this drone video. The Russians were like, "Oh my God, Sersky was right. His map is true." It was really funny.
Yeah, but this video showed a lot of hits on vehicles. That's why they were able to sell it as a win.
Very, very winning.
One of the things I didn't understand was the video which was released yesterday in Krasnooktaborsk. So just yesterday, yeah. This one.
Yep.
This one I didn't understand why they were releasing it, because they still claim that village is not controlled by Ukraine, and to prove it, they are showing a video which they describe as hitting Ukrainian drone operators. So you're telling me Ukrainian drone operators are sitting in this house at the river, at the at the westernmost point basically here, and it's not controlled by Ukraine, which that's a strong take.
It's I mean, if the drone operators are there, that means the front line's up here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this the video of Ukraine here over here, it pretty much confirmed that they have captured Snagast, whatever. I can't say that sound. Anyway, they captured that, which we already knew, but you can no longer deny it. No matter how pro-Russian you are, it is obviously captured. This town here is also pretty obviously captured, because these are the only possible ways you can attack over here. Like you have to go, you either have to come from the east or from the south, or probably both. So yeah, this is really probably the biggest change that we've had since the Sersky update. There was also Russian rumors that I've never seen any substantiation from, but I do kind of believe it, to be honest. They say that Ukraine captured this town here, Sheptuhovka. I can't say that. I need to practice saying names over and over again, like in the mirror, before I can say them out loud. But anyways, anyway, the Russians are saying that Ukraine captured that. I've not seen after the Russians said that, because it was a whole bunch of people saying it. I've not seen anyone even mention the town since then. So either they were all wrong and everybody moved on, or they were right and they're not talking about it anymore. One or the other.
Yeah. Today, while you're on the screen here, on the top right, you can see Kromsky Biki. Today, RT released a video from that village where they drive down the road into the village, passing by a destroyed vehicle. I'm not entirely sure what it is. It could be a Bobik, it could be some civilian vehicle. But what they said was that Ukraine retreated from Kromsky Biki, which is kind of interesting from several angles. One of them is that we didn't know that Ukraine was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, As said, there's still a lot of things happening in the dark. There's a lot of potential also with, Krasno-Oktoborsk being under control potentially. It's right at the river, and if Ukraine is really funny, you can cross it there too. The Russians have their pontoons. There's not much speaking against having your own pontoon. So if you do have mobile forces in the area, there's potential to do something funny.
Yeah, I'm looking for a ford. I don't see a ford. I don't see a ford here. Maybe it's not crossable.
Oh, I think it is.
I don't know. I feel like if it were crossable, there would be a ford. Like there would be a road that drove up to the river. Like even if it's not in use anymore, like it would still be there, I think.
I guess it comes down to how long is or how wide is the river.
Yeah, it could like over here, like this seems like a ford, don't you think? Like this seems like a ford.
Yeah.
And there seems to be fords over here, and this is like they're building pontoons over here. It seems that like this section has fords, but that section over here, like I don't see a ford. Because I feel like that the townspeople would know more about their river than I do.
Oh, there is one.
Where?
There is one. Or at least it appears like there is one. 1 second. On Maxar, it does appear that way. Let me send it. I just need to move my cat away from the screen.
Let's open it.
So, check this location. This appears like it might have, or it might be a fort.
Okay, right there.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's a ford?
Yeah, it kind of looks like that on Max.
Let's look at Maxar. I'm gonna open Maxar. It's annoying that you can't just like type coordinates into Maxar.
Yep, that's why I wrote the bot.
Okay, so here's Maxar. I don't know. I don't think that's a ford. I think it's just a place for like fishing, maybe. I just don't see a ford here. Maybe it's
How wide is the river?
Let's see. Let's go with the measuring tool. Oh, that's the wrong button. Oh boy. By the way, I learned that you can put advertisements on the map. And I've been considering it's 44 meters. Or no, this isn't the right river. Let me try this again. I've learned that you could put advertisements on the map, and I've been considering buying an advertisement for Sucha. It's 83 meters across.
Okay, I mean there are parts which are not as wide. The Beaver is something like 25 meters, I think.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be enough.
But anyways, I've been considering buying an advertisement on the map in like Sucha. And just like and the advertisement would be to our map.
So if you open it on Google Maps, then
Okay.
you find what?
So let's just go to Google Maps. Like here's Google Maps, right? And what gave me this idea is the other day I was looking at Vovchansk, right? And the way advertisements work on Google is that you have a percent chance of getting the advertisement, so you don't always get the advertisement, right? And the more money you pay into the advertisement, like the more chance you have of getting it. And the other day, I had an advertisement that was right here, or I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was like right here, and the advertisement was basically like, it basically said that like Vovchansk is Ukraine. That's what the advertisement said. So and that gave me the idea. I was like, I could buy one of those, and it would be funny to put it in Sucha. Yeah. But anyways, so like these advertisements, like it has like this, like these are like these little like arrowy things. But you can buy one that's a square, like a little square. It's the same size of these, but it's a square. It looks bigger. And you can put anything you want in it. And then when you click it, it like brings you to like it'll open something like this. And then you can like put a link to your website like right there. And then they can click it. Just like any other ad on the map.
Well, if you want, I guess.
I just thought it would be
Okay.
funny.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of Kursk, I don't know what else to say.
Kursk.
The information is limited, and it currently provides potential for everyone who was complaining about Kursk being stupid. Saying it again. We do know that Russians are moving units there. It's not yet entirely the full picture of where they come from. Earlier, we had the first information of it was 90s. 1 second. I need to look it up because Geschlittert, that's his name. He actually posted it just earlier. Yeah, 19th Guards Tank Division, which is active in Pokrovsk. It was about a conscript, which is part of one regiment of the 19th. So it doesn't yet mean much, but it would certainly be interesting. And definitely something to observe. There are videos, from Rostov and other regions of Russian columns moving, including VDV units potentially moving to Kursk. So far, the assessment, which is discussed publicly, is mostly that Russia has been using or moving forces from areas which are not Pokrovsk, so Zaporizhia as an example. But if you agree that the Russian forces are limited, then wherever they move forces from provides potentials for whatever happens next. So in the end, I consider a lot of this, as sort of like a chess game, and you make a move and you observe the move of your opponent. So even if they don't weaken their own Pokrovsk offensive, which would be obvious or relatively logical to me, because this is what they really need to sell their win right now. Even if they don't move forces from there, they are moving forces, and it's clear that Russia is limited. They don't have endless resources and capacity. They need to manage right now. And this is something that Kursk already made clear, in my opinion. And this is also something which is very important for everyone in the world to understand who holds it with Ukraine and potentially, was trying to pressure into negotiations.
Yeah.
Russia is not an infinite source of whatever.
And there is a thing that is getting glossed over. It's that Russia is beefing up their defenses everywhere on the border now. And that is taking resources away from other things, including going to Kursk. They're being forced to defend this whole border, which is something that they never wanted to do. Because it's bad for their ultimate plan. By the way, I added an Easter egg to the map that I don't think anyone saw. I'm just going to point it out now because I think it's funny. It's mostly for me, but I added an Easter egg. But I had to redraw the map because of the way the software works, and I named it temporarily Russia. That was an Easter egg I added that nobody saw. Yeah. Anyway, so they're beefing up all these border, all the whole border, and you see Ukraine doing these little like pokies, like they're poking every once in a while, and I think you're gonna keep seeing them go poke, poke, poke. And the whole point of that is just to make sure that they're actually defending it, because you have to make sure they defend everything, because that's like the whole point, because they've limited resources, they've limited manpower, and they've limited vehicles, and you want them to employ as many as possible defending this border. Ukraine
Yeah.
went on the offensive somewhere other than Kursk, didn't they? And it was a
Well,
success.
I'm not sure if I would call it an offensive yet. I would call it a localized counterattack, or maybe probing and realizing that Russia is
It's not probing. It's,
okay.
okay, so I don't think there will be more. I don't think there's going to be more. I think what happened. They achieved their goals and they stopped. Okay, I just want to say it that way. So basically, what happened is that Ukraine decided that Russia had a few too many alive people over here. They're a little bit too alive for Ukraine's liking, and they decided on a plan to attack them and unalive them. So I have no clue what the plan actually was. It's probably something like moving up these tree lines and attacking in multiple directions simultaneously and breaking the Russians and forcing them to retreat, and then probably wiping them out as they're retreating. It's probably something along those lines, which they've done many times before. They're pretty good at it. We saw this same sort of attack over here, where it was right here where the Ukrainians, they like launched this attack south, and they like broke through the Russian line. I think it was like here and over here, and probably here too. And they broke through, and they kind of got behind them, and then the Russians were panicking and fleeing across these fields, and they kind of all got wiped out crossing these fields, and then they all like ran away, and Ukraine captured this whole area. So there's that. And we probably did pretty much the same thing here, where they kind of broke behind them. I imagine they probably did something like go across this field and take that tree line and break them that way. So, but anyways, they moved up. Anyway, they made a plan. It was a limited plan, from what I understand. I don't think they planned to go further. They had a limited plan. They did it. It was a great success. Everyone's happy. And they apparently retook this ground right here.
Yeah, and it's a high ground, right? I think from there you overlook basically all of Novodian.
Let's look at it in the 3D-ness. Turn off all this stuff and then go here. That is not the right coordinates. That copied and pasted.
It's also interesting because up until like a month ago, Russia was on the offensive in that area itself.
This is the terrain that they captured, basically.
It's exaggerated, right?
Yeah, it's exaggerated 300%.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good terrain.
Yeah. So this is I don't expect them to keep going. I think if anything, they might like get like this, maybe something like that, like maybe this, but yeah, this is kind of what they're going for. They're just trying to get this ground right here, and they did it. Great success. Everyone's happy, except the Russians. They're saying that they inflicted a lot of casualties in the attack, like a disproportionate number of casualties than you'd expect for an attack of this scale. I read, I don't know if this was a misunderstanding, but they said there were 300 Russians that didn't survive the attack. I don't know if that's a mistranslation or misunderstanding or what, but they said there was 300. I get very suspicious whenever they say either 200 or 300 casualties. So there's that. There was another attack that I don't actually want to talk about, and I don't think it happened I think it happened like 2 months ago. But I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about it. On Staromayorsk, right?
Oh,
Where Ukraine
I'm
went
I'm
like
so
really
sad about that. I'm so sad about that video because the Marines there they pulled a Sersky move. They showed their own tank exploding.
Yeah, I don't even think that was new news, was it? Because I don't
Yeah, but we did
know.
have the tank before. We did have it. I don't think we had it. No, it might actually have been located sometime in June already. We did get a still from the Russians of that tank. It didn't necessarily appear destroyed back then, but yeah, I think we mapped it in June. So yeah, and the Marines now released the video of them attacking Staromayorsk. First of all, it was, before that it was pretty much only rumored that the Marines were back in on the Bramivsky Ledge. Now that was the definitive confirmation. Before that, we had some, missing in action information from wives and mothers, which indicated that they were back. But yeah, now they released the video of them, losing their own tank, but filmed very heroically, which is, don't do that. But yeah, we see them moving into Staromayorsk. We see them unloading infantry into, some of the houses. But I don't think we know if it was, sustainable.
Oh, it was a failure. I was freaking out at the time. That's why I kind of don't want to talk about it because I've talked about it on the stream multiple times already, and I was really upset about it when it happened. And to me, this is all old news. It's like rehashing something that happened forever ago. I'm trying to find like what day it was. I'm trying to go back in time, one day at a time here. But yeah, here. Jeez, here. This tank exploding. Yeah, we had that, right? And there were more vehicles. I don't know why the map is acting like this. Um, but anyways, the whole attack was so stupid. It was such a waste of everything. They think they lost like 6 vehicles or something. They lost if I remember right, they lost like I think they lost like 2 MRAPs on this road. They lost like another like 2 here. I think they lost 1 MRAP like between these 2 houses. And they lost like a tank here. I think they lost a tank there. It was just so stupid. It was, and I don't know what they accomplished. Like they like pushed up to like here, I think, and I don't know, dude. Like I just don't see a purpose. I don't know why it happened, and that's really all I have to say about it. And I do remember, I do remember when I mapped this tank getting destroyed. Um, I chose this source, but I remember there were like multiple sources of this tank getting hit. I just picked that one like at random because they're all showing like different camera angles and different drone. And so yeah, that event happened on I think on the 20th because I think this was the next day. Um, it's terrible. I don't like it. And it's like the one place where Ukraine has no need to attack. Like that was the thing that really bothered me about it. Cause like Ukraine's like defensive line is like up here. So like everything south of that defensive line, this is like house money. Like you should not be expending resources to hold this stuff. Like you should be using it as a buffer that Russia has to expend resources to take. and let them waste their resources until they get to your true defensive line up here. And then they have to break through that defensive line, which they never will, which is why this flanking maneuver up here is so terrifying. But this defensive line is like impenetrable. Like Russia's never gonna get through it. So this attack just makes no sense. I see no benefit. Like there's no purpose. I don't see any tactical or strategic reason you would ever do this. And that's why, like, when it happened, I was really upset. And I'm pretty sure that in whatever stream we did that week, I talked about it because I was really upset about it. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Maywars, Star Maywars. It's just back to real time. I guess we could watch this little Russian advance here, right? Not going great, Bob. Just here's the last few months of Russian advance. Thanks. Anyway, Gick, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, there's one event which I think is very noteworthy if you go into Rostov region. And there's actually a couple of events, I just realized. But go into Rostov. Yeah, and zoom in on the fire symbol. So this is something... yeah, well, that is too much zoom.
I just want to keep zooming.
So anyway, what happened here during this week, and I think it was already on Monday or Tuesday. To the right here, you have this huge oil platform, and if you go through the days, can you go back through the days a bit? Yeah, exactly. And I've almost marked it every day because it just keeps exploding and it just keeps burning. So this is some federal oil reserve, as I understand it. Ukraine attacked it with at least 2 drones, and the fire ever since has been spreading. More gas tanks start bursting. Initially, the fire departments tried to turn it out, but they failed to do so. And in the course of those tanks exploding, several firefighters were actually injured, and now it appears that they have decided to just watch it and film it. Yeah, and right now it does appear that the fire is spreading towards kerosene tanks. So this is a devastating hit for Russia here. They might be losing this entire reserve of oil and fuels. And now today, there is a fire in the town. Now, there are 2 versions of this. The official Rostov channel version is that there was an arson attack basically in the town itself, which led to a fire on that part of the town, which is spreading into residential buildings. So this town right now, which is, you see the railway, so yeah, it does appear.
It's suspiciously close to a choo-choo train full of what appears to be tankers, like some sort of tanks that appear to be it might be oil. Just saying.
Yeah, well, that tank is actually passing by, so it's driving. It's not stationary.
It's suspiciously close, though.
Yeah, but it's an interesting town, and you now have fires on both sides, and you have firefighters which probably don't know what to do anymore. If this was arson or not, I don't really know, but it's spreading, and it's spreading into the village or into that town. Yeah, I don't know what to say, Russia. You have a lot of issues.
I can tell you what I would do if I were a firefighter. I
Film it.
I would say, this is a lost cause. Let's save the houses. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you can assume that that's what they're doing, but I don't know. I mean, we have seen how Russians handle wildfires and so on so far. I don't know. Let's see what happens next. I guess it's spreading, and
Maybe.
the images are really bad.
Maybe there'll be another one right here. Then there'll just be a whole circle of fire.
maybe the plan is actually to make this railway unusable. But yeah, that's what happens. There's a rumor that the oil tanks were attacked by another drone today, but I think so far it's only rumors, probably because there was an explosion, which might have been one of the tanks bursting.
I don't think you need. I think the drones did enough. Like the drones are okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you need to fly another one there, unless you're really funny.
I mean, if I would fly the drones into another oil thing, there's got to be more.
Yeah,
with more oil in it, because this one's like it's like half out of oil or something.
Yeah,
we got a full.
And then the other thing which happened, and if you zoom out, I don't even remember where's the airfield exactly, because MT Anderson, I think was it MT Anderson? Either he or the Ukrainian channel, they released satellite images yesterday of the airfield. Can you go back to yesterday? Is it this one? Oh yeah, it's that one exactly. So yeah, Ukraine attacked this airfield, and it did so very successfully. Not only that, the Russians now took pictures of what kind of drones Ukraine was using, and they were having a lot of shrapnel. If you shoot them down, they burst into a lot of tiny little metal pieces, distributing over your airfield. If you don't shoot them down, then they will do the same. So for attacking airfields, this is very interesting as a concept.
Yeah, Ukraine has moved on from their. They used to have this like unitary warhead bomb, basically, it just went boom, and those did not do much. Then they moved to this new warhead that is more of a like a shrapnel based thing. And they're doing a lot more damage. You see, like, I don't know if we have the image here. Yeah, I don't think we have the image here. But
oh yeah, I shared it in Discord, right? You should be able to find it there. But yeah, the interesting thing about that is that on satellite, if that bursts on top of a bunch of airplanes, you might not see it on satellite image. So for VDA, for the public sector, it's quite hard to estimate how much airframes were potentially damaged. But I'm pretty sure you don't want to fly an airplane which has holes, tiny little holes in it. So that appears like a rather stupid idea.
It's not really the image I was going for.
There's a better one. I shared a better one yesterday.
Just playing the scroll up game.
Yeah, and I'm not yet entirely sure how many planes were actually hit or damaged or destroyed. The satellite image is not entirely conclusive. Like we can say for sure that one was destroyed and one is very likely damaged, but I'm not entirely sure if there aren't maybe more planes which were actually damaged.
Yeah, there's tons of rumors of how many planes there were.
Yeah.
Some are saying like 5. I don't know. I have no idea.
And it does appear that Russia felt rather safe at that spot with having their planes behind, I don't know, 2 centimeters thickness of aluminum or something.
And they're saying that these shelters were donated by a volunteer. I don't know if that's true, but it's funny to me. Yeah. I can't find the other image, but whatever, doesn't matter. Yep. So yeah, that's funny, and I just enjoy that these new warheads are doing a lot of damage, because there's a lot of benefits to these warheads, from what I understand. First, the warhead doesn't have to actually hit to do damage, right? Because it's this like area of effect. Yeah, that's the image.
Wait, I sent the image.
It's this area of effect, so you just have to get close. You don't have to hit it. And that's the problem with like the old warheads they were using that were just like high explosive, where they would have like if you miss with a high explosive, like if you hit like right here, it might damage like a little circle, but then if the plane's over there, then you didn't hurt the plane because you missed. Whereas with this thing going off, it's spreading shrapnel everywhere, and you can miss by quite a bit and still hit the plane. So another thing is that in theory, you could carry multiple bombs on one drone, depending on the size of the drone and the size of the bomb. But you could carry multiple on one drone, so you could like fly over the airfield and go dook and then dook, and you get two chances to hit instead of just one. So that's one benefit. And the other thing is that when you have these like single high explosive warheads, you have to like line up your shot and dive on whatever you want to hit. Whereas with these, you could just fly level above the target and detonate in midair, which is not as hard to program because if you dive too early or too late, you'll completely miss your target. Whereas if you're doing the timer thing, you have a greater chance of hitting it, especially because it's a much bigger area of effect. So I think these new warheads are a lot superior than what they used to have. Here's the other image, right?
Yeah, that appears to be a warhead. Yeah, I mean, that must suck to be there.
So there's that story. There's another story of a Russian L, right?
Oh yeah, there was a big L.
Is this?
So this ship is Conroe Trader, and it was hit before. But apparently they managed to, repair any damage the ship had. And now, it was carrying fuel. It was allegedly it was also carrying ammunition. Was preparing to settle over to Crimea, and unload there and supply Russian forces. But something funny happened. In the shape of a Neptune missile. At least it's. I think the official story is that it's been a Neptune missile. It wildly interrupted that process. You can see the ship is not entirely afloat anymore. And if you look at the images from yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Exactly. So this is how the ship looked like yesterday.
It's going great. Ships are supposed to look like that, okay?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Russia is having a lot of fire issues these days. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what Russia's plan is right now to stop it. I mean, we can see Ukraine, now using airframes in Kursk to, bomb Russian positions. We can see them penetrate one airfield after the other. It's like the third major hit on an airfield, the third major successful hit on an airfield with drones.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, of course, we had ATACMS strikes on airfields. We still know that Ukraine takes out, air defense assets rather frequently, even though not everything might be published yet. So Russia is taking a lot of L's these days, and yeah, I'm hoping that Ukraine can further develop on that right now, and as quickly as possible, because of course the Russians might adapt to something.
Maybe they will adapt to just having a country on fire all the time.
Yeah, maybe they adapt to at some point leaving Ukraine.
I've zoomed in too much. Fix my zoom. There. Or maybe I'll do there. Yeah, there. Yeah, they could just go home. They could just go home. It'd be fine.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the fires would suddenly stop then.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about this one. I don't want to talk about that, but that also happened. I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's also like not that interesting, but it was all over Telegram, so I figured, okay, let's map it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? There is one thing. I don't want to get into detail on this because I honestly just don't have the details on the top of my head. But Russia is continuing their terror campaign in Kherson every single day, targeting mostly old people and cars, just random cars.
Yeah, and it appears like it's mostly the same drone operators. So there's one particular squad of drone operators I would like to see.
They're in
You
the,
know,
they're in the 8th Guards, I think. That's what they're in.
I don't know, but they need to go.
Yeah, they've just been terrorizing, just attack just random civilians. Antonivka is this is like the epicenter of attacks on civilians. Just daily, like on average, they're wounding 2 people a day, and approximately 1 in 10 people who get wounded end up dying. So that's kind of the basic statistics, and then they're also hitting just generally here-ish. I believe these are 2 different drone units. There's like one there and one over here, and where am I? Here they occasionally hit, but not as often. And also, this used to be more of a civilian area, and like they were like they're like giving civilians here like new stuff, like new water and things like that, and then they started just indiscriminately bombing, and I think all the civilians left. um and Mykolaiv and Lvov, uh these are getting hit pretty regularly as well. A lot of airstrikes with Su-25s in this general area. So this whole Kherson area is just getting attacked every single day. Almost not exclusively, but it's like a lot of the attacks are on civilians, and really intentionally hitting civilians. Like they're barely pretending that they're not civilians at this point. Like they'll like laugh and tell jokes saying like, oh, it's another military target, and then they drop a grenade on like an 8-year-old guy. So and Antonivka is really the epicenter. Like, if you take all of the casualties that Russia has done in all of Kherson, Antonivka is probably like 60% of them or something like that. It's like it's ridiculous. Especially because it's not even a big town. Like it's like the easternmost suburb of Kherson. I think it's like within, like you might call it part of the city. I don't really know, but it's like within like the city-ish. It's like part of this area. So it's the easternmost part, and Kandiika. Anyway, that's also been getting hit pretty hard, but it's mostly the eastern part near Antonivka. So Kherson is constantly under these kind of terror attacks. Nikopol is also hit occasionally. Well, not occasionally, it's hit every day. But there aren't as many civilians there anymore. But they do occasionally get a pretty solid hit there too. And of course, Russia is hitting a lot of these towns in kind of the northern part of Kharkiv, especially this town that I always pronounce wrong, so I'm not going to try it. And also Zoloshiv or whatever. Anyway, so this kind of general area here is where they're attacking just random civilians. Yeah, that's your day in Russian terrorism. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think we're done. Are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay, we're done. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll be here again next week, maybe.
Let's hope so. See you, everyone.
Goodbye.